talk y'all nah.
Say my name, say my name.
My name is Dr. Mark Pereira. I am the creator of the Hypergeometrical Universe Theory. In the presentations, I will emphasize the brilliance of the ideas, and I might even refer to Dr. Mark Pereira as genius. I am ashamed for doing that, but I have to shamelessly promote my ideas because the competition is a personality cult surrounding Dr. Albert Einstein relativity. So I cannot say that I am dumb and somehow my theory is better than Dr. Einstein's relativity. That doesn't make any sense. So I have to be brighter than him, and I have to say that he is no Einstein. So there how it goes. If I have to convince a bunch of people who cannot understand what I'm saying, I cannot approach the problem meekly. I have to be forceful, and I have to dare scientists, as I always did, to provide a counter-argument. Science is based on ideas, and is based on arguments, and is based on evidence. I'm providing the extraordinary evidence for my extraordinary claims. So buckle up and enjoy the theory of everything, the hypergeometrical universe. Thank you.
I am the chosen one. The unspoken validation of the hypergeometrical universe, a rebuttal to general relativity and lambda CDM. The Pantheon Supernova Survey, in conjunction with the use of cosmic microwave background, CMB-corrected redshifts, tacitly acknowledges the existence of an absolute reference frame. This contradicts the core tenets of Einstein's relativity, which denies any such frame. The hypergeometrical universe, theory not only predicted this frame but also provides an epoch-dependent gravitational constant that naturally fits the Pantheon data without requiring dark matter or dark energy. This paper presents the precise fit obtained through WHO, critiques the CosmoVerse white paper's continued reliance on lambda CDM and general relativity, and exposes the scientific omission of WHO despite clear methodological overlaps. Cosmology is at a crossroads. The tension between early and late-time measurements of the Hubble constant, known as the Hubble tension, has persisted across surveys, instruments, and methodologies. In recent years, it has grown to statistical significance beyond 5.33 sigma, posing an existential challenge to the standard cosmological model, lambda CDM. However, beneath this tension lies an even deeper contradiction, one that calls into question the foundational assumptions of general relativity. By correcting redshifts using the dipole of the CMB, researchers have implicitly accepted the existence of an absolute reference frame. This choice, necessary for consistent supernova modeling, contradicts Einstein's rejection of absolute simultaneity and absolute motion. This absolute reference frame is not an ad hoc fix. It was predicted by the hypergeometrical universe, theory, which describes the universe as a light-speed expanding hyperspherical hypersurface embedded in 4D space. Within this topology, particles ride the inner dilation layer, IDL, at speed c, and physical laws are naturally expressed in the CMB frame. Epoch-dependent gravity, WHO's elegant fit. Using this absolute frame and a single physical principle, that the gravitational constant g decreases inversely with the 4D radius r of the universe, the hypergeometrical universe predicts a near-perfect fit to the Pantheon dataset. This fit not only aligns with the CMB-derived value from Planck, H0 equal to 67.4, but also eliminates the Hubble tension entirely. The fitting procedure involves two parameters. The 4D radius, or age of the universe, is not predicted by the theory and is extracted from the short distance SN1A data. The alpha parameter, which governs the power law dependence of absolute luminosity on G, was predicted by Hu to lie between 3.0 and 3.5. This corresponds to distance correction factors between 1.5 and 1.75. The fit yielded 1.5, validating the theory's prediction. Thus, although two parameters are involved, only the universe's age is truly a free parameter. This fit not only aligns with the CMB derived value from Planck, H0 equals 67.4, but also eliminates the Hubble tension entirely. You have to see with your own eyes. This is the same data that the 533 conspiring scientists couldn't fit to anything close to 67.4. Who fitted to 67.5, but I am sure the error difference between this fitting with 67.5 and if I were to impose 67.4 would be negligible. In other words, if I were dishonest, as many scientists are, I could just impose a perfect match. Pantheon fit using Hu, epoch-dependent G, with CMB-corrected redshifts. No free parameters beyond universal age. I provided the code. It is in my repository. Here is the Pantheon analysis, but you can also see the modeling of the great attractor, the optical path of ancient photons. This contains my replacement to Einstein's model of the photon and it solves the quantum entanglement issue. As you can see, I also modeled Dr. Adam Rees' supernova cosmology project SN1A data. The results were better than Drive. Rees LCDM, but they were not perfect because the redshifts Dr. Rees collected were not cast into the absolute reference frame, the cosmic microwave background or CMB. Here you can see the derivation of natural laws. All laws are derived from a single law, the quantum Lagrangian principle. The quantum Lagrangian principle, or QLP, is simple. It states that the fundamental dilator can only move into positions where it dilates space in phase with the total local dilaton field. This is an obvious requirement, otherwise particles, modeled as fundamental dilator polymers, would dissipate energy just to exist. So, from this obvious hypothesis, I derived everything. The laws of nature have many components which are present depending upon how you are making your observation. In other words, in the case of Mercury perihelion precession rate, one is interested in the force Mercury is being subject to while keeping the Sun as the absolute reference frame. Making the absolute reference frame equal to the center of mass doesn't change the setting. If you are modeling a charge sensing the electromagnetic field from another moving at relativistic speeds, the component that will be relevant will be the Lennard-Wicciat one. I corrected Lennard-Wicciat, just in case you don't know. If you are modeling two elements of charge or mass moving around, you would use the Biot-Savart component. Of course, if you are interested in modeling two static particles or masses at rest in the absolute reference frame, Then you use Coulomb law or Newton's law of gravitation. Surprisingly, Sir Isaac Newton was correct, 100% correct in his law of gravitation. Einstein muddled things up without understanding the underlying physics. A billion parrot scientists later kept the mistake going for another 120 years. Gravitation is identical to electromagnetism with the caveat that Newton's gravitational constant is not constant and changes with the 4D radius of the universe according to the law shown above. Go to my repository. I asked ChatGPT to create the description of all notebooks so you will not be lost. In addition, if you cannot figure it out, just ask ChatGPT and he will tell you what the notebook does. I provided the papers, notebooks and the Docker image for my Python package who_galaxy. Who_galaxy models galaxies numerically and shows how confirmation bias led scientists to believe that there was a paradox in the rotation curve of spiral galaxies. Not only there isn't anything surprising, but the rotation curves are perfectly predicted by simple radially double and triple exponential density distributions. If you use a double exponential distribution, you can replicate the rotation curve of any galaxy using idiosyncratic mass distributions, simple ones. If you add a third exponential, you can finally explain how supermassive black holes are formed at the center of each galaxy without galaxy collisions. In other words, the idea that galaxies increased in size through collisions is excluded by my theory. Collisions occur, but they occur within galaxy clusters, and they are rare. So, the model for galaxy formation is wrong. The model for star formation is wrong. Stars start with smaller masses and grow by gas accretion throughout billions of years. Another notebook shown explains the supernova cosmology project and the optical path of ancient photons. The latter explains how light propagation and not space stretching is responsible for the cosmological redshift. In Who all redshifts, Doppler, cosmological, gravitational, are all explained by the same mechanism. So, cosmological redshift explained by light propagation in a 4D spatial manifold, not space stretching. Galaxies receding from each other explained by material body propagation in a 4D spatial manifold, not need for dark energy to push galaxies apart. Motion explained by the Silver Surfer paradigm for motion. And yes, I explained the great attractor with the epoch-dependent g and the much larger acceleration during the time of the CMB release. G was 1261 times stronger than today's g. Here you can see the Who solution to the Fermi paradox. It is obvious that if g is changing with time, planets in the past would go in and out of the Goldilocks region faster. So, the race for a civilization did not start at time zero, when the first galaxies and planets were formed. Our civilization took 4.5 billion years to begin. That places some constraints on how long the planet has to stay in the Goldilocks region. G also affects the start energy throughput. Hence, Who introduces a much more complex scenario for life formation. There are many more goodies in the good old magic bag I created for you. Get your ass to GitHub and start running the notebooks. I am speaking of you, CosmoVerse people. Within 533 scientists, I am sure there is at least one that received my pokes, example given, Romeo Dave, or received emails, Dr. Adam Rees, the 2011 Nobel Prize winner. I am sure there are others that know about my work but don't say my name out loud. The CosmoVerse paper, 533 scientists, no resolution. In April 2025, the CosmoVerse network published a comprehensive white paper aiming to resolve cosmological tensions using systematic error analysis and extensions of lambda CDM. With over 500 co-authors, they combined Pantheon plus data, already CMB-corrected, with BAO, Shush 0s, and DESI within FLRW spacetime and general relativity. Despite exploring numerous models, early dark energy, ED, interacting dark energy, IDE, modified gravity, and more, they failed to eliminate the Hubble tension without introducing new problems, such as increased tension in S8, matter density, or acoustic scale anomalies. Most critically, while their analysis implicitly relies on the CMB rest frame, thus operating within the WHO-defined absolute reference frame, they do so without acknowledgement. Nowhere is the hypergeometrical universe cited or evaluated. The use of CMB-corrected redshifts is a de facto acknowledgement that relativistic symmetry is broken on cosmological scales. Dr. Marco Pereira. The scientific implication. The scientific community, via the Pantheon calibration and the CosmoVerse methodology, has already accepted the assumptions of WHO in practice. CMB as an absolute frame. Rejection of relativistic symmetry on large scales. Anomalies pointing to missing components in lambda CDM. Yet, they remain bound to GR and lambda CDM frameworks and ignore the one model that solves the puzzle without adding new ones. This is not oversight, it is scientific gatekeeping. WHO has resolved the Hubble tension, reproduced the flat rotation curves of galaxies, and matched early galaxy formation data, all without introducing speculative components. This is my competition. Let's hope that among 533 scientists, at least one of them will have scientific integrity. You know how disappointed I am with Springer Nature, Science Magazine, Annals of Physics, Annalen der Physik, Physics of the Dark Universe. In fact, Dr. Amendola, the editor of Physics of the Dark Universe, is the one I am the least offended by. It is clear that my theory would offend the sensibilities of the readers and hurt the business. They would lose sleep. Be sad. I have some sympathy. Take a look at the size of this conspiracy. Editors. Eleonora Di Valentino. Jackson Levi said. And so on, and so forth. That is a lot of people. I hope I didn't miss any one of the little people. Hey, wait a second. I just found my name there. Just kidding.
Say my name, say my name.
References and resources. Critique target. The CosmoVerse White Paper. SSRN is a good place to submit papers and preprints. They claim to inspect the paper and make a decision in a few days. That is because SSRN is a preprint repository, not unlike Los Alamos Archives, ResearchSquare, preprint.com, etc. Oftentimes, people will ask if my work has been peer-reviewed. It is clear it has. It was published as sections in books and supposedly was peer-reviewed when I published it in obscure journals. That said, the work is reviewed all the time. The gatekeepers of SSRN have sat on my paper for 20 days, 500% more time than they claimed necessary. What is going on? The answer is simple. They are pondering if they should allow for a critique to NASA, Dr. Adam Rees, and other fellows for their incorrect work. I wouldn't mind gatekeeping if they were honest. A sign of honesty would be to ask me questions. I am alive. I provided my email. They can ask questions and get the needed answers. That is what I call intellectually honest. Pooping on your pants and thinking on how to block the work is not honest. That is what I faced every time and at each and every step. So, my critique to NASA conclusions on a 39 years long project of laser lunar ranging is being evaluated. I now have a connection at NASA and I provided them with my paper. No answer yet. I believe the correct behavior is to do some basic reading. The paper is short and to the point. Ask questions and allow the work to be posted. That is basic due diligence. More than that is putting your finger on the balance. It is dishonest. I am sure some of the scientists might say, Dr. Marco Pereira lacks professional courtesy. It is unprofessional to air your grievances in public. It is unprofessional or bad for the profession if you do all the work and there is nothing left for us to do. How will we give each other prizes? It is unprofessional to criticize scientists when they cannot say your name. My answer to that is that 20 years ago, I presented my idea in its simplest form. If Dr. Paul Ginsparg, Los Alamos chief censor, hadn't censored my work with the words, "not appropriate," we wouldn't be talking about this. The subsequent censorship by Annalen der Physik, Annals of Physics, Science, Springer Nature didn't help. I would have done my job and placed mankind on the right path. Instead, we have this situation where you have egg on your face and look silly and hiding. It is not my fault. Don't blame the victim. I am a teacher to mankind. I am Dr. Marco Pereira, but you can call me teacher. But you can call me obnoxious if you want. I don't really care. I am just doing my job.